Good afternoon, everyone, and hope you are keeping well and busy. So, today we are going to be talking about making a plan and making sure that you are thinking about the future, not just short, medium, and long, but thinking about all different aspects of your career. So, I'm just checking that I am live. Yeah, here we go. I will just stop that now. Good. Just getting used to the technology. So today, let's talk about planning. So we've this week we've talked about thinking about our careers and our jobs. We've talked about why we might be looking for work. We've talked about different parts of our life and making sure that we are thinking about that balance. All of the different reasons why we might be looking for work. And we've also talked a bit about what yesterday we talked about skills and what skills we have, making sure that we're matching up a job that we want with the skills that we have, so that we can actually follow some of our passions and make sure that the reason we're going for that job and what we're doing is going to be the best fit that we can have. Now, when I want to talk today about making a plan, is because the world of work at the moment is pretty uncertain, isn't it? And so, whilst my book is called, Get the Job You Really Want in a post-pandemic world, actually, right now, you might be already in a job. It might not be exactly what you want, but are you going to walk away from a role right now if the economy is a little bit stuck or a bit sticky and we're not quite sure what's going to happen? Now, the answer might be no. I'm definitely not going to be walking away from a job, Della, because even though it's not what I want, I'm just going to put up with it and see how I get on. And that is absolutely fine. And to be honest, I've been advising a couple of people who have talked to me about career coaching. I've advised them that really, they need to be thinking about where they're staying because they've got, say, 12 or 14 years service. Are they going to walk away from that role into a role where you're on probation and suddenly, any rights and things might be at risk? However, even if you're in that situation, I think it's always good to make a plan. We can still be thinking about our long-term career goals, our medium-term career goals, and our short-term career goals whilst we are in a job. And although the job might not be absolutely perfect, the one that you really want, we can still be doing work behind the scenes to make a plan. So in terms of, let's assume that you're looking for something better in the longer term. What can you do now to make sure that you are thinking about the future? And the reason I ask people to make a bit of a plan is because we can be very focused on today. I don't like this job and I really want to be doing something completely different. But there often isn't a plan of stepping stones in the background. And what happens is that 1 year will go past and not much progress has been made because we're still thinking in either very short term, very dream, what do I really want, but not the steps in between. So there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. And in my coaching practice, we do quite a lot on timeline work. Now, you can either start with a timeline that starts as to where you are now and where you want to be and work out the steps that you need to take to get there, or you can do it the other way around. And I actually prefer doing it the other way around. I prefer starting at where you want to be and then working backwards. And often it means that what you're showing is that, I better do something today. I can do something today to make this dream a reality. Now, if we're thinking, maybe if you're someone who's at the start of their career or you're wanting a change, some of these career path patterns might be 3, 4, 5 years into the future, and that is absolutely fine. First of all, you're going to start about what it is that you are wanting to be. Now, it might be you want to be trained in a particular field. When I did my coaching diploma, I had to go and get some qualifications. I had to have practice clients. There was a time frame element to get the qualification and get the experience that I needed. Now, so thinking about what that end goal is, and you're thinking about any qualifications, what would you need to achieve that particular goal? You could be thinking, I want to be a managing director in 10 years' time. I want to be an ops manager in 5 years' time. I want to be trained as a hairdresser in 3 years' time. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what the desire is, but you think, well, actually, that is what I want. So you're going to be very clear on the goal. Then you can start to step forward and think, step backwards towards the current time as to what steps you would need to be taking to get there. Now, if you need particular training, it might be that there's a very set qualification. You know, if you want to be a doctor, it's 7 years or something. If you want to be an architect, I think it's 7 years as well. If you want to be a coach, it might be a year. If you want to step up the ladder, it might be not very specific times for certain things, but you'll know that you're going to need a certain amount, a certain amount of experience to get there. Someone who's 21 who says they want to be a managing director is probably going to need a reasonable number of years of experience in different aspects of business before they can get there. So you can start to think through, how long is that going to be? Are there any qualifications that are needed? And are there any specific experiences? If it is a job where you need multiple experiences and you need to work around an office or around different departments, then you might be saying, well, I need a year here, or I need a year there. I need a year overseas if I want that experience. And what you can do is start to block out. You just get a piece of paper and you put your end goal in, and you start to block out forward or back, whichever way you choose to do it, and you can start to see where it is that you want to go. And there might be some other things rather than just qualifications and learning, but there might be some other timeline elements as well. You might need to think about family considerations. It might be that you need to think about location. Are you actually in the right place, in the right country, in the right region? To make this thing happen, would you need to move? Do you need to move to London? Do you need to move out of London? If you want to go and do something specifically in a service area, are you in the right sort of town to be able to deliver that? If you're in a small village, you might not have enough clients, for example. Depends on what you're talking about. There's also online aspects, you know, thinking about how would you get the training. Could be online or in person. Some courses are a lot longer if you do them online, but you can do them very quickly if you do a week-long absorption type course where you're in there all the time. So what you're going to do is just be trying to think what that plan looks like. Now, you can be doing this behind the scenes, regardless of whether you're in a job, whether you like it or not. You can be doing that piece of work behind the scenes. And you can also be thinking about, to get that goal, what is it I could do in my current job now that would help me meet that end goal? Now, some people say, well, I need to completely jump ship. I need to completely leave an organization to make this dream happen because this particular company is no good or it doesn't have the opportunities. As I said at the start, you might be thinking now's not the time to jump ship and just leave an organization. So having a look at what it is you could do now that would anyway contribute to that end goal can be really helpful. It may be as simple as doing some online courses that your company offers. Might not seem that that's completely linked, but it might show you that you can do learning, you can expand your skills. There might be opportunities to volunteer in your organization to do other things. You might be able to step up and do more team leading, supervisory work. You might be able to join some sort of community. I know of some people who've done, and I did this myself, actually set up things like a women's network within a company, get involved in things like Black Lives Matter, environmental, or sports clubs, anything that requires a little bit extra organisation. If you can do something like that that's in your field, and it might be that a club or something that you're interested in your future doesn't exist in your business right now, but it might be that you could create it. If you want to become a budding artist and you want to set up your own studio, but you're in a corporate job, why not think about asking about setting up some sort of art club It could be that you're thinking, well, that wouldn't necessarily work, but it might. So you can look at how you could bring that future goal into today's world without having to leave your existing company. This way, you will start to feel like at least, oh, okay, I've set up that art club, I've gone and joined that committee, I've done that organisational thing, and I'm now slowly but surely adding things to my skill set, my CV, so that in 10 years' time, actually, or 5 years' time, it starts to show that it counted. Now, there are other things that you can be doing to make a plan that is covering all bases. So I've just talked about that future career piece, but what about making a plan for the future if we think that things might not go the way that we want? A lot of companies are thinking, with the cost of living, cost of energy, that there may be more redundancies because their costs are going so high. Now, hopefully this isn't you, but if you are thinking that your company is maybe a little bit shaky and maybe giving out vibes that things are going to have to change, then making a plan for yourself, a plan B, a plan C even, of what you might do can be really helpful. Being made redundant is a shock. Even if you think it's coming, and I knew that my redundancy second time round was coming, and it still is quite a big disruption. You still left reeling a little bit and thinking, God, what am I going to do now? If you can plan ahead and get yourself mentally ready, that's one element of planning. Getting your CV ready now can be helpful. Tomorrow we're going to talk about CV planning and how we can make it shine. So if that's something of interest, do join me then. Now, making sure that your CV is of good quality, it does take time. And often when people have been made redundant, they really want to just jump straight into looking for a job, because obviously it's like, I need to get a job. I need to get a job now. What you don't want to be doing is then thinking, I've now got hours of time to spend looking at my CV because I haven't looked at it in 5 years or 10 years. You need to be thinking about what those skills, experiences, the dates, the achievements, all of those things, you want to pull those out now. So making a plan is about making yourself ready in case you are made redundant and the worst happens. At least you'll be mentally prepared, your CV will be prepared. You can also be thinking about, if this does happen, that I will start to think about where else I might go. What are similar companies that I could jump to? Or what other companies do I want to be working for? You could be thinking about just starting to follow companies on LinkedIn. You could think about looking at your network and working out who you might want to meet, so that you are just getting a little bit ahead. And as I say, you don't need to be going out there and posting everything on LinkedIn to say, look, I think I'm going to be made redundant. I need to get a job right now. But it's about mentally preparing yourself for the worst that's going to happen. People who know that they know a contact in another company who'd be happy to have them are likely to just walk straight into that job. They pick up the phone on the day they got made redundant and say, look, I know that you said you were looking for people like me. I'm actually now available. You might get snapped up. That requires a bit of planning to get you ahead of the game, so that you've got your plan B already lined up. So thinking about those aspects can just help you get ahead. Another thing you can be doing just behind the scenes, again, doesn't have to be related to your current employer, unless they're offering it, like the training and the learning you can do inside work can be really helpful. But you might have decided that you do want to do a particular qualification, and that is something that you could think about doing behind the scenes, maybe at Open University and Night School. Online qualifications are now everywhere. So there might be some things that you could be doing. You say, well, maybe in the next 6 months or the next 2 years, I'm going to do an online course and build up my qualifications. So although I'm in this job and I don't particularly like it, and I know that's not my future, but actually I'm already doing my qualifications, so that when I get to write my CV in 2 years' time or a year's time, I can say that I am now officially a qualified so-and-so. So those are sort of things that to think about. Making a plan for the long term, the medium term, where you want to be, and then thinking about plan B for now in case of any economic crisis or situation can be really helpful. So I hope you found that useful. Join me tomorrow where we'll be talking about CVs and how to make them shine so that your CV, if the worst happens, you can make sure that your CV really